everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's been quite some time since I've uploaded the previous video, but I have just finished reading Bridgerton When He Was Wicked by Julia Quinn, starring the quieter sibling Francesca Bridgerton. This is book number 6, containing around 360 pages, and I'll be reviewing it today, so let's get started. Let's start with the characters. So firstly, you have Francesca Bridgerton, 6th Bridgerton and 3rd daughter. She's shy and reserved, and in the book, she considers herself to be, although having 4 brothers, quite uncomfortable with men. Secondly, John Sterling, Earl of Kilmartin, which is a place in Scotland. He has a seat in the House of Lords, which is what mostly people with peerage titles do. We also have Michael Sterling, the so-called bad boy, cousin to the Earl and second in line to the earldom. He is second in line because John is the only child and has no children, and I'm assuming Michael's father has passed. He doesn't have a title, he just goes by Mr. Michael Sterling, and he has a small property which is given by John. So the story starts with Michael, who himself knows that he sleeps with countless of women, just so happens to fall in love with his cousin John, the Earl of Kilmartin's fiancée, Francesca Bridgerton. They get married, and Francesca is now known as the Countess of Kilmartin. Francesca asks Michael for his ideas on her and John's 2nd anniversary, and Michael replies, well, just go up to Kilmartin, they both love it there. Francesca then suggests to introduce Michael to her sisters, to which Michael declined, as, quote, him would kill himself if he were to marry Eloise. Francesca decided to go out for a walk, and John, who had a headache, suggests Michael to, just accompany her. He decides to lie down as he has a meeting with Lord Liverpool, one of the lords in the House of Lords, and doesn't want to have a headache throughout that. So when they return, Francesca will wake him up. So when she goes to wake him up, Michael, who is outside of the room, hears a shriek. He goes into the room, and to everyone's horror, John, the Earl of Kilmartin, has died in his sleep. So this is a quite poignant part of the story, as for now, Francesca is a widower with no children to tend and accompany. Michael is now the next Earl of Kilmartin, something he has never wanted to do. This has so-called bestowed upon him overnight, and both of them have to work out their griefs. Later on, one of the lords asks Michael to check on Francesca, not on her well-being, but if she's pregnant. This is because Michael is next in line, and a baby would outrank him and so-called complicate matters. The Lord also had the audacity to say that one of the committee members, who are men, must be there when she delivers a baby, just in case she delivers a girl and decides to switch babies. Michael refused, and even though after the Lord pestered him, he yelled at him, and the Lord got scared and left. Good for you, Michael. Francesca told him that she's pregnant, but after a few days she miscarries. So Michael is the Earl of Kilmartin officially. The story continues to 4 years later. So Francesca retains the title of Countess since Michael didn't marry. Michael decided to go to India for a vacation for 4 years, and he gave Francesca to take care of the earldom as she saw fit. This was the best gift given to her, as she had a purpose actually. She then felt that she was alone and she wanted to have a baby. So at that point of time, if you want a baby, you have to remarry, because at that point aristocrats don't adopt babies. For Michael, India didn't really give him happiness, but it did give him peace. It helped him know that he knows that Francesca is not around the corner. He knew that he needed to move on, and he thought, well, India would help. And he thought he could move on from John's death too. So after 4 years, he decided to pack up and head back to London, as it was March, and he thought it'll be too early for Francesca to go to London to attend the social season. However, Francesca arrived at Kilmartin House, London, with no notice, so both of them end up at the house at the same time. They talked near the fireplace, and it was really freezing, and none of them sent a note that they're coming. And Michael then realizes that 4 years in India has not helped him, as he misses John and is still not over Francesca. So with Michael's incessant feelings towards Francesca, and Francesca, who's starting to look differently at Michael, as somewhat handsome and devilish, which scared her. Add to the fact that they are legally the Earl and Countess of Kilmartin, and the close bond with Michael and Lady Bridgerton, Francesca's mother, who told him to just call her Violet. Well, this is going to be a rocky relationship, as later on, Michael suffers from malaria a few days later as a result from his trip to India. There are a few things I like about this book. Firstly, I liked how Julia Quinn portrayed a different version of the Bridgerton siblings. Francesca, who's a quiet and reserved girl, never would have imagined, her wildest dreams of having a man as her confidant. She was a breath of fresh air in that sense to the book. And I would take some time to explain the term switching babies. This is done in the United Kingdom. This is done when the lady or the mother of aristocracy or royalty, when they give birth to a girl or an unhealthy or stillborn son, and they switch it with a healthy baby boy, taken normally from an orphanage. This would only be known by the mother and whoever ladies-in-waiting who helped her. This is because at that point of time, before 2013, males take precedence. So to avoid switching babies, the government decided that a few ministers and ladies must be in attendance when the mother is giving birth, just to make sure that the baby is of blue blood. This minister must be there kind of rule was abolished just before Prince Charles, the current Prince of Wales, was born in 1948, and the male president's rule was abolished in 2013, just before Prince George was born. And the third thing I liked about this book was how Michael stood up to the lords when they asked him about Francesca's pregnancy. Just mere hours of her being a widower. Talk about indecency. And another thing interesting about this book, is that Julia Quinn talked about diseases which was used and faced by the men in the story, namely John and Michael. John, who died due to a headache, actually died due to a ruptured cerebral aneurysm. It's a congenital weak spot in the blood vessels within the brain, with congenital meaning from birth. So he had this from birth. At that point of time, those diseases can only be detected during autopsy. And when someone suffers this, it's quite dangerous to have a headache. And today, I quote from the book, which Julia Quinn has definitely researched herself well enough, that one half of this disease today can lead to death. Michael, on the other hand, suffers from malaria, which at that point in time, he got it from going to India, because he told Francesca that he had to cancel on a Bridgerton household dinner. He got invited to the household dinner. He had to cancel it because he got his third attack, and which the next day I think he got his fourth. So I'm guessing attack number 1 and 2 was at India. And he thought the source of his illness was the putrid air that he was breathing. And to quote him, it was a contact kind of disease where you can get from handshaking or just standing near to each other. Half of England would have been infected. And that's what people believed until scientific experiment was conducted and they found out actually mosquitoes actually brought this disease. And we have to also remember that when Michael, Francesca, and the Bridgerton, the Regency era was happening, they didn't really have vaccines to help, which actually led to Michael having 3 to 4 attacks of malaria. What I really disliked from the book is that the plot was very draggy, especially to the part where Michael and Francesca get together. It was long, it was a really long haul and somewhat boring, but in a way it does keep you going, because you want to know when, do they even get together, or I don't know, do they? I just like the part where the Lord questions Francesca's pregnancy, and the fact that her mourning or state of mind is not as concerned as she could swap the baby if she delivers a girl or a stillborn or a healthy boy. Hated the Lord, but loved Michael for chasing him out after snapping at him. I would rate this book a 6 out of 10, because like I said earlier, the plot was very draggy for me, as it took me a while to get to where Francesca and Michael confessed their love to each other. There's also a bit of PG-18, as Francesca did not expect bad boy Michael's bedroom skills, so you can quite expect what happens when they confess. It's also a little dark compared to the previous books, as it deals with the death of John, the miscarriage, and dealing with John's ghost as Francesca and Michael start to court each other. That's it for my video today. I hope you enjoyed it and stay safe, everyone. I really can't wait for March 25th, as that's the premiere date for Bridgerton Season 2. I do hope they make a season for each sibling following the book. That would really satisfy every Bridgerton fan, I bet you. That's all for today. See you in the next video. Bye!